Lucy was a fantastic haircut. It's a very classic graduated bob, but with a little twist. We didn't go higher in the back, we left it longer and rounded to the front. Using the razor allowed me to move the weight around and create a shape that was very classic, but as you see right here, it's got a very modern twist. The twist is in the products and the haircut, so please enjoy it. Okay, here's Lucy, and Lucy's actually the girl on the cover, on the packaging for Moon, the Shine shampoo and conditioner. And this is a haircut actually that we gave her before we shot the packaging. So this is fun. She's got tons of hair. It's got a wave to it. A lot of hair. You can see right there. I have to reduce the weight in the back. I'm going to give her this sort of like rounded bob, and with razor graduated back, but not too high, so we can keep that line. The line I've got there is kind of where I want to go with it, so I'll use a razor and then solidify with scissors, checking her hairline, making sure. I'd cut Lucy's hair maybe 3 or 4 times before this. This is a grown out version of what I'd done before, but again, checking, looking, different haircut, different day, always making sure that I know exactly what I'm approaching to do it perfectly. And the haircut, these haircuts remind me of a book that Andre Latigue did called The Girls. I think it was The Girls Smoking. It was all his friends with bobs in Paris in the maybe 1920s, maybe a bit earlier. But I always loved those haircuts, and so it's kind of respect to that. And going through with one, dampening it down. We had used the shampoo and conditioner from Moon, just to give a little bit of shine, moisture, bit of control, and using the one now just to get it damp enough to start the haircut. And I'm going to start in the back here, and I've got a nice suit on there, so I always wear a suit, and I think it's just a respect to my client, the model, hairdressing, that I took it very seriously, and putting on a suit just makes you feel a little bit more in control, and just adds something. So one of the things I always like to do. You can start to see a little bit of wave that she's got in her hair, which is lovely because we'll sort of exploit that later. But again, knowing that I don't over cut the hair, that it just becomes a wavy, wispy, uncontrollable shape. So she's got to wear it a lot of different ways. She does model, so she's got to have that versatility. I mean, it's a great look already. Could she walk out with that haircut right now? Yes, and I'd be quite happy. But what we got to do is just add to it. So just got our cape on, and away we go. A little bit more with the one, just getting that moisture, because I'm going to be using the flat of the blade, so I don't want any resistance either in the dullness of the blade, that the hair comes off quite easily and accurately. If I've got any sort of resistance, it could cause just a little interruption to the quality of the ends, because the ends with razor cutting, in these haircuts, they have to mesh together. And you can see somebody in the background there. That was good. Okay, so a centre parting in the back, all the way down to the nape. And we'll start by controlling the hairline and getting that comfortable to accept the weight and shape that we cut over the top of it. So these are my, very, very important part of the haircut, because it's setting it up, it's setting the shape, the amount of softness, and then obviously when we come in with the scissors, that we can get that line quite accurate to where we want to go. So just taking my time. Okay, here we go. starting to comb the hair, that hairline into position, and checking how it's moving, what I got to undercut, so I can get the shape in quite quickly and not have the hairline interfere with my shape. So if it has to go away, it has to go away. For me, a lot of the times I'll just make it very comfortable by, using the flat of the blade. I think we're ready to go. Okay. So we'll take that first little subsection and using sort of a regular comb, it is gold, but using the flat of the blade and just working down. There you go. It sits now quite comfortable. This isn't me cutting my line, I'm adjusting the hairline so that when I start to cut in the line, the hairline doesn't start to push it all over the place and interfere with what I want to look for in the line. So another subsection. Flat of the blade, quite slow movement, got to be very accurate here. And you can see in my fingers what I took off, and just let that sit in. You could use scissors here, definitely just scissor or comb that down. But for me, the razor just gives a little bit more softness, and it tackles a bit more of the weight through the mid-lengths. Same again, start to work from there you go. Start to work from the center, and this is the line coming in, taking the weight out. Checking. Nice. Just getting rid of any of the extra fluff. I want to see my line come together really quickly, and I can't make a mistake at this point. So here I'm using a tip because I've got a lot of hair here, and turning the flat, just getting rid of that hair because it's very dense through there, so I still want the hair to move a little bit right above it. So taking the weight out of the mid-lengths while I'm cutting the line, and then just using the comb to reverse the hair down, and it's gone nice and clean. Taking a bit more time, but where you have to spend the time, because once you start, it's all go. So I don't want to come back and be adjusting the hairline, as a working with my actual structural line or baseline, whatever you want to call it. Outside line, inside line, lines. Here we go. Just done there. Get a little bit more one. And the moisture is really important here, because I'd rather keep wetting it down and readjusting than, the hair sopping wet, that it's dripping, running down our neck, just uncomfortable. We have to remember that there's someone underneath this haircut, and their comfort level, they can feel our energy. Their comfort level is really important. Take down that hairline, use the flat of the blade, reverse down. Tiny sections, but it's so important that this is very accurate. I think I was talking to myself there. Oh, talking to somebody. Absolutely gone nuts. Okay, so same again. The line starts when I feel comfortable enough right here that I can create the line. Until that point, I'm going to adjust the hairline so that when I do drop this in, it's perfect. And right in the center here, go in, use the point, take the weight out, and then chip the length in. There you go. You can see that shorter to longer, so where I have all that density in the center, I'm actually addressing it right now rather than coming back later. So point in, hairline's starting to feel comfortable, and just adjust that a little bit, get rid of the fluff. You know, with these haircuts you want the neck long, you want the shape to enhance the neck, the shape of the face, you know, the movement of the line, even though it's a static line, the shape has to have the illusion that it is moving forward. So you can see that weight right in the center there, and that's what we have to deal with right now. So very deep, and taking that and using the flat, and getting quite comfortable with that now. So a little adjustment. We've got that little tail thing. Just make sure I've got enough out of it, and then continue. So I have to start to get this line moving, so I'll go in with the tip, take the weight out, use the back, the heel or the edge, and that's what's going to let me cut the line in and get quite accurate with that. You know, at this point I can cut straight lines with a razor. Alright, so we're going to speed up a little bit here. Well, speed the camera up, because it's when I start to get through this. We've got enough of the, you know, little build-ups here, so just spending my time cleaning this up. Start to get my line, and there you go. It's kind of funny, I wish I could cut hair at this speed, but I don't think it would be that accurate. Same again. And alright, so we move on. Larger section, and here is where we start to really cut the line in. And because we've slightly undercut it, we should be able to get a very clean line on this. And if we push the hair back, because we've spent so much time taking that weight out, it moves nicely. And just repeating, you know, center is where I'll take more out. As I move around the side, the hairline's moving up, so I've got to move down with where I start to cut into the hair. That keeps the integrity of the line. Got the scissors, and cutting that away. Cutting on the skin. Not worried about too much graduation because the underneath has been dealt with, so it's actually quite easy to cut a really nice strong line if you have had a little bit of razoring through the underneath. So same again, come in with the razor, line, cut the edge, didn't cut into that at all, keep going. Great. Section. Calm down. Center, a lot out the center, little at the side. See that? Not much going on. Just really getting that down. And line. Follow it through. You can start to see where I work up on the side here. A little bit more weight out there. And I go now to the bigger comb, because moving up through the top, so I don't have to be as accurate in, you know, with my graduation and smaller sections. Larger comb, larger amounts of hair coming out, especially through the centre, dropping down to a little bit less, and as soon as I get that line built up, I can start to remove weight into the sides, but I can't afford to do it until my line is, it's there, it's solid, and it's not going to be interrupted by me cutting into sections. Redampen. It's actually cool. I mean, for me, I might put one in a smaller bottle as well and just keep it in my pocket. Whatever is comfortable, especially on set. So now I can start to go into that length in that section because my baseline's solid, and start to remove a lot more weight. Because it's not a static haircut either, so it has to move. It's got to be pushed back, it's got to be pushed up, side, wherever it is. So here's where this allows it to happen. Okay, so we're at a point where we're going to transition into the sides. So I'm sort of working through these last sections, and really at this point it's about taking the weight out. My line's established, so if I go higher to lower, cut a little bit of length, not worrying about the line, but really about the interior right now, and we'll use the scissors just to strengthen the line. Higher, lower, and lower. Okay, that's how it works. More weight in the center, higher your section, less weight through the sides, lower the section. Hope that makes sense. I mean, it might be new, but it just, to me, that's what really works, because I've got all that weight in the center and a little bit less through the sides. So coming in, we dampen. Make sure I can get the hair out of the way. So my sections are quite clear, easy to read for me to where I am in the haircut. Just spray that right on the camera lens. Get it nice and grainy and dirty. So we'll work a section from that center part all the way through to the low recession in the front. Making sure the sections are clean. And I can't say this enough, that your sectioning, clean sectioning, really helps you guide your way through the haircut. So you can see right there, it just drops down. Here we go, back to the center back, and now you can start to see that shape. It's very subtle, but very effective. And a lot of my early bobs were always like high graduation in the back, working down to a point in the front. But here I want a very low type of, I don't know if you'd call it graduation, but certainly movement and weight distribution. So I can come in and start to create this line. Not too much tension. I'm back with the smaller comb because I'm back in a detail mode, and just finding out where that came from. Just lift it out, and just working over the ear now. Not too much tension, and forgive my hand, we're just working forward using the middle of the blade. I'm getting that. There's lots of extra little bits of length, but it's close enough for me to decide, when I come in with a scissor, that's gone. So just go up through the sides, and there you go. Nice and clean. Little movement. You can see actually all of that effort we put in with the razor starting to pay off. You know, it's not bulky. It moves. It's got a fluidness to it that you just wouldn't get with a pair of scissors on this type of hair. You know, straight, fine, you know, amazing hair. Yep, absolutely. You could control it, but for me, this is a razor cut. And again, see that movement? I'm starting to cut in and not only move forward, but be able to move back. Just check my line. And then go in quite deep. The line's there, so I can go in and then cut that length. You know, I went in, you know, 2.5, 3 inches right above my line because I need that movement there is really, really important to me. So, just really paying attention to where I'm. Got less of a stroke there because, you know, I've got less hair, so I want the integrity of the line to be there and not wispy and broken and long bits. So that's why I'm just working with the razor, a very small amount of movement there. Then right above it, I can go deep. Once I've got that line, I can go where I want. You know, I'm not going to sacrifice or worry about it really interfering with the weight. Got a good view there. There you go. Checking. And now, just really seeing if I've got enough out of the hair. I'll take that little subsection here and work right above it and see where I need to get rid of some of that weight, and it's right above the ear. Okay, just going to speed it up a little bit, get rid of the hair, make her nice and comfortable, get my scissors and start to work at the lining, get it nice and strong, working forward. There you go. And the line, you know, with the razor and end scissor, it's fantastic because it just gives it a different kind of feel, the outside line. So cutting that line, checking, moving. Good. After I checked, I just realised that that's got to go. And that's it, you're moving here, reacting, you know, is it there? What's going to bring it there, you know? So you can see me pushing it back. Get to the other side, and we're not going to do exactly the same thing, you know, we're going to try and get it close, but it is the other side, so it's you got to really pay attention because this side of the hair moves forward, the other side moves back, so I just got to be careful with the hairline. I'm getting it to the point where I want, getting the hair out of the way, nice and clean. Make sure it's all clean and not just hanging in our face. There is a lot of combing, a lot of prep in this because once you start cutting, it's quite a precise haircut. So you see me there, I went in, cut out the weight, then I cut the line. And even at this speed you can see, you know, really what I'm doing. Taking the weight out through the center. I'm not cutting into too deep at this point because it is my line, it's my established line. So I gotta be really careful. I don't want something all choppy and, you know, too kind of hair show. Not that hair shows are bad, but just you do things there that you don't do in the salon. So again, going in, weight out, check my length, weight out. I've got the line established so I can go above it. Cut my line, cut the weight out, cut the line, push it back, no bananas. Bananas are where there's too much weight behind the ear. When you push it back, it's like a banana hanging there. And no, only Carmen Miranda can have a banana behind her ear. So you see the shape, you know, I've got lift at the crown, it's slipping right into the nape. Coming up back, dropping my shorter bits over the top there. Let's go back to normal speed and we'll have a look here because we're about to transition as well. Okay, so cutting in the line, got my scissors, working from the center back forward. And cutting your line, cut it the way you feel comfortable. You cut it from the front or the back, or it's really what you want to do. What we did do here is prep that the underneath is, you know, not going to be a hassle when we start to cut in the line, because we really cut a lot of the weight out there, and that's letting us cut this very, or not very, but stronger line. So come through. Taking my time there. And we start to just curve this up. You excuse my hand here, but you'll see right here, as I pull away, there's a line. It's not a secret, I'm not like hiding something up my sleeve. Come to the front, and we're going to just strengthen the line through there. And just make sure that slope works up a little bit higher. There you go. Great. Solid. It's looking good. She looks amazing. It's got a fantastic, she's got a kind of old look as well, which is lovely. Her face is a little bit on the squarey side, so, you know, these haircuts are amazing for her. Okay, so now we're going to move into the top, and even though it's a surface, we still have to take a fair amount of weight out, because I want the hair, yes, it's like a slope, you know, it's like a bob, it looks like a bob, but, you know, when I style it, I start to use products in it, I want it to be, you know, like a pompadour, I want it to be curly, I want it to be round, I want it to be square, I want everything. So, you know, I want to explore it with the products, and so I have to cut all these pieces in that allow me to do that, to support lengths. You know, if I left it all one length, you know, why would I bother taking weight out? Why would I bother with the shape? You know, just cut a very simple box bob. That'd be beautiful, and it'd be enough if that's what you want. I'm looking for total performance here, so just pushing myself a little bit further to get those elements, those lengths in there that allow me to do that and allow you to see that, because, you know, your level is your level. You know, you can certainly use a little bit, use it all, use the ideas, you know, the movement where we're taking weight out, but then it's yours. You know, it's your client, your haircut, and make it yours. If we all cut hair the same, then why would anyone, you know, come to me or go to you? It's just all the same. There's no difference, and there is a big difference. You know, we all have these subtleties in our dressing and our cutting that we get to see and use them where we have to, and that's what makes us individuals. You know, and all I want to do is make sure that we all have the information. You know, the movement I'm trying to work with is that we have the information and use it when we want, or not, but we know what's going on. You know, we know how, you know how I cut hair. You know, I don't know how all of you cut hair, but I'd like to find out. But, you know, we have no secrets. There's no hidden agenda here. It's all done to share process. So here's me removing that weight through the top and just break the surface. Now I've got to be careful too, because she has got a wave. If I go too deep, lift it up too high, I'm going to end up with this little spiky thing on the crown that's going to just change the look. It's going to take it from elegant to maybe slightly vulgar, you know, which if I wanted something like that, I would do a different haircut. Keep moving this haircut a little bit forward. You know, when I say that, I don't mean pushing it towards her face. I'm saying, you know, this is a haircut. The reference I told you about was from the 20s, but I don't want to, you know, make her look like she's in the 20s. I've got to make her look like she's 2020 or 10 or 14 or 13 where we were when we did this. So that's about the idea of R+Co taking classic and pushing it to next level, and everything, products, packaging, or haircutting, understanding what we do is so important to help us, and it allows us to be the hairdressers that we want to be, and still trying to achieve. You know, I don't think any of the collective would say they're done. You know, we know everything. It's that's the beauty of what we do, is that we're constantly learning, we're constantly looking, curious about what else we can do, what we can get away with. And you know, fashion is very strange because it runs a fine line of being, you know, quite ugly, but you know, you can't break that line. Here we are with my line. I'm going back in and finishing off the length for the side. Just going down, a little bit of tension before I cut the fringe, or sorry, the bangs. Or if you're listening in Britain, then it's the fringe. And if you're listening in America, it's the bangs. Don't know why, don't ask me, but that's what it is. Okay, so just clipping that little long bit off. And, you know, this haircut with, you know, just one product in it and just pushed and, you know, pushed around where you've got a kind of crooked edge, but it's coming from the products. That's great. You know, and that's what we use, why we use products to create, you know, you'll see later there's an image that looks like our hair's just chopped, you know, randomly, but it's this haircut. What's making it look chopped is the products. I think we all sometimes forget that, and I used to as a kid, like, oh, I gotta chop this, but when you chop it, it's that's the only look you can get from it. Whereas if you do it classic with all of these different elements, then you get something that can be pushed. So that's the whole idea of it. I'm just finishing through with the sides here. Okay, so now we've got to work on the bangs and make sure I get the right amount of hair in there. I mean, obviously there's bangs there, so I just have to make sure that I get that section. You can see it there. Found a little bit of weight right through the center here. You can see that. I'm actually going to go in and take a lot of hair out here, because at the crown I want it to be a bit more disruptive to the outside line, so deep, and then just taking the ends off. What this does is those lengths through the side almost kind of match the length the lengths at the back, sorry, match the length through the sides as far as the interior. So when I move it around, there's a consistency to the interior sort of structure as well as the outside. And if that was complicated and technical, then just watch this, because you'll see what happens. Taking that one down, and my next section, you see right there, the side part, that's that length. So it does balance, you know, because they're all sort of starting at the same area, sometimes a bit higher, but on average they all sort of blend together. And you know, there's something quite beautiful about the haircuts in the 20s and the 30s with these haircuts, because They were sometimes done that were quite blunt and just looks like they were just hacked, but they had a look that was just absolutely fantastic, sexy. You know, most of the time they were cut not as haircuts, but as the beginning of a style, because they would then pin curl, as Garen would say, you know, pin curl set, they would do a wave, you know, so back in the day, haircuts, really the style, the end result dictated more of the haircut than anything else. The bangs for me, I always cut bangs into a slight point. I don't know who it was that told me that. It was one of my teachers back in the day. But the point disappears. It actually makes it look quite square. And he was an amazing teacher, so I always believed him. And I've never really questioned it. So, except for when I want to do something round. But if I'm looking for something square, I always go a little bit higher through the recession and slope down. And if you believe that it works, then it works. Alright, so come over to the other side. Check my length. I'm checking really that I've not got, you know, too much of the side in the bang. Like that, a little bit there. So you'll see it right here. Using my detail comb. You see, I'll just work up. And don't. And it never looks like it's got a point. And it's fantastic. It's one of those great things that you learn from someone who's like a genius haircutter. And just, if we learn one thing from each of the people we've worked with, we end up with all these great sort of tools and techniques. So you can see it is coming into a little bit of a point there. And just checking it works with the sides. Got a little extra there, so just going to have to discover those and gone. There we go. So we're just over directing a little bit and increasing the point. Let it sit. And I think it's because the hairline, you know, pushes up through the center, it pushes to the side. You know, when you cut a perfect straight line, you know, even when the hair's damp like this, sometimes the center just will go up and give you more of a rounded effect. And that's not what I want here. I want something quite blunt. Okay. Now we'll just address that tiny point and gone. I mean, he's still got a little movement to it, but it looks pretty cool. I think she's feeling quite confident. You see the change? She just sort of like came alive there. You know, as soon as the bangs sort of moved out of her eyes a little bit. I just want to check this again. Just chip in. And just break the line as well. And it'll still be a line. When I start to separate it, I use products, I want that, you know, break. And I think that's what's great, is that you can go in and detail haircuts like that, and, you know, when there's an opportunity to do it. So I just want to brush through, start to look at it as a whole thing. Then we'll get some products on it and see how we go. I'm going to use Aircraft because, you know, she's got a little bit of movement, but look at that. That's lovely. Just pushes back very easily. I like that, right over the side of the ear. So halfway across. Now, her hair before would not have allowed me to do that, and I'm just showing you right there, that sort of corner. On a guy, these sort of like haircuts were huge in the 70s, so you had to kind of cut it halfway across the ear, which always seemed like a pain in the rear end, but, you know, it is a look. And one place I always look is online and looking at men's haircuts from the 70s, 80s, because they were kind of crazy. Guys with beards and blow dries. Funny. Okay, so checking through, just brushing it, check my line, you know, still going to make adjustments, but this is really the point. I want to see what I've got, take my time, get a bit of a breather. You know, been cutting hair for a while here, so. And exactly, I just found that the weight behind the ear is just too much. So I'll come back in, make sure I've got my line established, and then we can start to just take that weight out. And you see that, you know, as you move through the haircut, you feel it, you know, your fingers are telling you, they're responding like this just feels heavy, and you have to react. It doesn't feel heavy because it's too light. It feels heavy because it's too heavy. So, you know, it's really identifying where is the weight. I think that's the key thing, you know, because you think, oh, maybe is it the outline? It never is. It's usually right places like there where we can just take the hairline, make it a bit more comfortable, so when it sits over the top, nice. Just watch your ear. Alright. It's looking good. And just adjust this side right at the hairline, and that will give me a little bit more sort of ease as I push the hair back by taking this, just following the hairline down in almost like an undercut. Doesn't interfere with my line. My line's there. That's what I was checking for with the brush. But when I push the hair back, I get less of that sort of weight build up immediately behind the hair, behind the ear, and then a little bit more. And that shows you there this kind of graduation that we worked with, or the illusion of graduation. You know, using a razor, it's you're changing everything. So nice. Getting a little skin of thatch. You can see all the lengths now starting to play, and just nice and soft. Looks beautiful. And the only product in there right now, apart from shampoo and conditioner, is the one. So, but I've got enough of it in there, and I've got a bit of a build up with it. You know, I've probably used my little sample, which is like a 2 ounce, because her hair was so thirsty. And she does colour her hair, so it's it eats up the product too. And checking. And even from here watching on the screen, there's just a little bit of weight in there. So, but is it the right amount? You know, that's what we've got to judge. You know, and does it work? Ultimate response is put your hands through it and see if it works. Pushing it back, pushing all of it back, because I want to have sometimes hairstyles without bangs. Let's go back to the wide tooth comb and play around with this haircut, see what we've got, start to enjoy our work. And I guess it's like showing off a little bit, you know, look what I've done to your hair, look how fantastic you look, and just making sure that every way you comb it, there's something there. And this is even before we get products in. We just comb those bangs to the sides. You could put a pin in there, you know, get a little flip. Put a summer dress on her, looks lovely. Just comb that down a bit. Get a nice edge. And yep, I've taken enough out. The hair can move, but it's still got the integrity of my line, the look, the image is there, the perception of it. but we know there's a lot more going on in there, and just jump through. Going to get the product in here, and you can see that curl we talked about, or the wave or texture. Just getting it to shake it and just mess it up. Nice, great character. And here we go. We get aircraft. Oh, that's a lot, but that's what we do. This is our test lab. This is where we get to put a lot of product in here. It's about performance. You know, I would definitely tell you to use about a third of that. For me, I want to go as far as I can and then pull it back. It's only hair products, you know, so you can definitely move in and out, pull them back, use a little bit of one. You know, aircraft has got the pomade, it's got the wax in it, so you know it's not as easy to pull back as like a chiffon or Dallas. So take your time, easier to add more. We designed the product, so I know how it's going to react. I know our hair, so that's what's pushing, you know. And I'll probably add a little bit more as well. So I just want to exploit this texture a little bit more and see what we got. And just use my hands. So do a hand dry. It's one of my big things. Before I use a brush, even if I use a brush or not, you know, I'll always go in and do a bit of a hand dry, bit of styling in my hands, and it's working out pretty good. You can see all it looks really choppy. It looks like a completely different haircut. You wouldn't even think there is a solid line in there anywhere, but that's the illusion. And we just got to be careful. Sometimes we see things and think, oh yeah, that's all chopped, but is it products that are doing it? You know, what's causing that to happen? And you know, do I want someone's hair to always look like that, or do I give it the variation? Here I'm just using the back of the comb and pressing in the product. You see that shine on the hair? It's fantastic. And combing it through, or combing my shape, and use the comb. It really is my styling tool, but make sure I've got the product really evenly dispersed through the haircut, through the hair. Just using the edge so I get that smoother effect with it. Same there. Just get that edge, get that shine. So it looks like a little girl that her mum had cut her hair. I think that'd be a great sort of way to sort of describe that. Flicking through. We're almost done here, so we'll go to the behind the scenes and show you some of the finished looks once we get out here. But and again, I'm styling hair for photography here. You can blow dry this with your flat brush, get it nice and smooth, push it around. You know, you take control, take the ideas, take the techniques, the ideology, the process, and make it yours. I'm working towards taking photographs, so they're very, very different to, you know, the way we style for the salon, but the quality of the hair has to be the same. You know, when I say that you know, the hair's shiny, it moves, it's sexy, it's soft, it's you know, everything. So we are done with that one, and we're going to move to behind the scenes and show you a couple of looks as we move through. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed that. That was Lucy, and we're just going to finish off with a Polaroid.